Hey friends, one of the most popular questions I get on Instagram is how much does it cost to actually live in London? It is one of the popular and diverse city in the world, and it's one of the biggest financial hub and technology hub in Europe. So a lot of you guys are wondering, it must be quite expensive to live in London. The cost of living, I would say, is definitely not cheap, but how much do you realistically need to spend in order to live comfortably in London? In this video, I'm going to share with you a breakdown of all the costs of living in London. So if you're interested in moving to London, or if you're genuinely curious of how much it costs, or even if you just want to compare the cost of living in London to wherever you're living now, then this video is for you. As someone who lived in London for 7 years, I have experience of living in different parts of London, and I also have friends with different levels of budget. So to give you a comprehensive understanding of how much it costs, I am going to split it into two different versions. The first version is going to be a budget one, which is going to help you to live pretty okay and then get going around in London. And the second one is going to be a luxury version where you can spend extra and go extra mile and live a pretty good lifestyle in London. To make it easy to understand, I'm going to list out all the essential costs that you will need when living in London. And these include the rent, bills, food, transportation, and your personal lifestyle spending. Let's get started. The first and biggest expenditure would be your rent. When I was a student living in London, I had no idea of how it would cost. As a student, when I was in my first year of studying at university, I had the opportunity to live in student accommodation, but as a general rule, when you are studying in London, the London universities usually will kick you out after your first year. So I had a look around in different areas in London to see which one would fit my budget. And really depending on where you are in London, your rent could vary massively. If you live in central London or zone 1, your rent will be at least £1,000 versus if you live somewhere in zone 2 or zone 3, then your rent will be massively cheaper. And it also depends on if you're splitting the house with someone else or if you're living by yourself. So on the budget version, let's say if you're splitting with 2 or 3 people, and if you're living in zone 2, then your monthly rent will be around £600. And for the luxury version, let's say if you are living by yourself and you live around the edge of zone 1, then your monthly rent will be around £1,100. Then the second thing you need to consider is your bills. The bills depends on the usage, meaning how much you use it on a monthly basis. The main components for your bills will be water and gas/electricity. So for water bills, this is where it gets quite interesting. Some of the really old houses or even council houses, they don't have water meter, so there's no way to monitor your actual usage for your water. So in this case, the water company usually bill you based on an estimation they have for your monthly water usage. And usually they estimate around £35 per month. And the bigger part of your bills will be coming from gas and electricity. And again, this depends on the season. For example, in summer, you wouldn't use so much your heater, but during winter, you will be using a lot of heater just because it gets super cold during the winter. And it depends on whether your house is insulated or not. Usually, if you have a complex of building with, apartments within different floors, then this type of structure usually is much better for warmth insulation. So to make it simple, let's say if you are living in London with a budget and then you're splitting the bills with 2 or 3 other people again, then usually your monthly bill is around £50. And for the luxury version, the bill can come up to around £200 per month. Then we look at the next component, which is food. And the food usually includes your grocery shopping and eating out. For grocery shopping, based on my experience, there are 3 categories of supermarkets based on the diversity of food they offer as well as the cost. Let's call it the budget-friendly, the middle part, and the posh one. So the typical supermarket you find in a budget-friendly one would be, Lidl, Aldi. For the middle one, you usually have Tesco or Sainsbury's. These are pretty common supermarkets that you can find anywhere in London. For the posh one, the classical ones are Whole Foods and Marks and Spencer. And the grocery cost of shopping at a posh one can be twice as expensive as shopping in a budget-friendly one. So based on my experience, your grocery cost if you live on a budget will be around £120 per month. And for the luxury one, the grocery cost can be like £250, plus if you eat out a lot, it can be £400 per month. For transportation, when you want to go around in London, most people would choose tube, which is the British way of saying underground. And this is an easy way to commute within London, and it can get you to most of the places in London. London, I would say, is not the most friendly place for cyclists, but still it is like the budget version that you can go around in London, especially anywhere within Zone 1 and Zone 2. So if you're opting for the option of cycling around London, then your transportation cost will be pretty much £0. But if you take tube, then let's say if you commute 20 days a month, and your cost of transportation using the public transport service will be around £150 per month. Plus, with some occasional taxi service using Bolt or Uber, your transportation cost can be up to £300 per month. And for personal lifestyle spending, this includes gifts, shopping, and traveling. Again, this would vary a lot depending on what kind of lifestyle you're looking for. But generally speaking, if you want to travel for a holiday within Europe, there are quite a few budget airlines that you can choose from. For example, Ryanair and EasyJet are the ones that most people would go for, and it can cost as little as £30 for a return flight to most of the places in Europe during off-peak time. So let's say if you travel once a year with minimum spending on your shopping and gifts, then your average cost will be around £60, for your personal expenditure. And for your luxury version, again, there's no upside. Let's say if you travel 4 times a year and you shop a lot for your gifts and clothes, because there's quite a lot of like high street brands in London that you can buy from, then the average cost for your personal lifestyle will be around £300 per month. So now let's summarize what we have for the budget version and the luxury version of living in London. So the total of your monthly cost of living in London with a budget will be around £830. And on the other side, if you live pretty comfortably on the luxury version, then your cost will be around £2,300 per month. Again, these figures are for reference rather than the standard that you should definitely go for. And for anyone with a good budget, living in London is pretty decent because there's just a lot of opportunities for your career, a lot of opportunities to understand and learn from multiple cultures. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out my other videos, which are going to teach you massively how to find a job as an international student. So I'll see you next time.